What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Olde Hickory Brewery, and they are out of Hickory, North Carolina, and this is their Photon Sphere. So they're calling this one an Imperial Stout that is aged in bourbon barrels with honey, cinnamon, vanilla, cacao, and habanero peppers. Comes in at 11.91% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. This bottle is approximately 5.5 months old. And I want to give a huge thanks and shout out to a good friend of mine, Derek, for hooking me up with this one. I actually hung out with Derek at the 2019 Shelton Brothers Festival back in early October, and he brought me a beer. It was unexpected, but he's like, hey, check this one out. You might like it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to definitely review it. So here we are. Now, I've never had anything from Olde Hickory. I know them for the Event Horizon, which is a big bourbon barrel aged imperial stout with honey. And based on the name of that beer, the Event Horizon, and the name of this beer, Photon Sphere, they're both a part of black holes from my limited knowledge. So I'm thinking, since this one is bourbon barrel aged with honey and then has 4 other adjuncts in it, is that the base beer, or is the Event Horizon the base beer that this one is kind of playing off of? I would imagine it is. They're just adding cinnamon, vanilla, cacao, and habanero pepper to that one. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I have no idea. If anybody out there knows that, let me know. But I'm just going to crack this one open and pour it in glasses. It's been out of the fridge for almost an hour, so we should be at, I think, optimal drinking temperature. Wow, this one's on there. Holy crap. That was on there. You wouldn't believe how it was on there. So wood ring there. So yeah, let's give this a pour. Pour into the Barn Cat Tiku because Derek is Canadian and I don't have proper glassware. So that goes over here. And yeah, so that poured out like a huge viscous imperial stout because it is almost 12%. Yeah, pitch black. Alcohol legs for days, about a third of a finger of this really dark brown mocha colored head. The head looks relatively creamy, but it is dissipating to a thin film, probably because of all that adjuncts, the fact that it's almost 12%, bourbon barrel aged, the whole 9. Yeah, it looks really nice. So let's get a nose. Oh yeah, that's fantastic. So the bourbon still prevalent. Almost 6 months old, really prevalent still. Spicy bourbon, vanilla, oak tannin, the whole 9 from the barrel. A lot of vanilla and cocoa. The cinnamon is a little bit lost in the nose. And again, this is almost 6 months old, so I figured the cinnamon would die out a bit. I'm not getting a ton of cinnamon. The habanero peppers are there. I'm getting this like nice, slight peppery kind of characteristic. Could be mixing in with that peppery bourbon I'm talking about. But it doesn't seem like, overly spicy in the nose. Tons of like sweeter dark chocolate. The honey is there. There's like a molasses feel to it as well. Oh, and an umami character, like a slight soy sauce thing, ever so slight, very, very slight touch. It smells sweet, but in a reserved way. If you just picture, some of your favorite bourbon barrel aged beers that have a nice sweetness to it, but are not overly sweet, not cloying, that's kind of what this smells like. It just smells like it's going to have a nice sweetness, but not step in the way too much. It's boozy. I mean, it's almost 12%, and I can tell this is like a 10, 11% beer at the very least. It definitely has booze on it. But it smells so integrated and cohesive and just smells damn good, and I want to get into it. So cheers, everybody. And thanks again, Derek. Ooh. It's habanero peppers sneaking up a little bit there. Interesting. It's funny because the first third of the palate, I'm thinking to myself, man, that's kind of disappointing based on the nose. Like when I first took a sip of it and it's in my mouth, I'm like, it's okay. Mid palate, explosion of flavor in the best way possible. I'll explain it in a second. Body. Let's go body first. This is a bit thin. This is probably lower side of full body. At almost 12%, it's definitely thin. I'm okay with it. I would like to see a little bit more of a thicker, chewy, viscous type of body to it, but I'm all right with it. It was in barrels, all those adjuncts. I kind of get it. It's thin for the style, not thin in general, but it definitely is thin, like lower side of full body. Maybe higher side of medium, definitely thin. The mouthfeel, there's carbonation still, but it's really soft and smooth, not really creamy. Just a nice soft smoothness to it. Definitely lets you know it's carbonation in here. Higher side of like light carbonation, approaching moderate carbonation. But I think the mouthfeel is fine. The body's definitely thin, so a little bit of a hit there. But the taste, I'm loving this one. It's delicious. So right from I'm hit with like a bittering chocolate and just kind of like a roasted malt character, which I didn't get the roasted malt or the bittering chocolate on the nose, but right from that's what I'm hit with, tip of the tongue, even like a coffee roast. And that's where I was a little bit disappointed, not because I don't like those flavors, but the nose was screaming something else. But that's where halfway through mid-palate, the honey comes in. It's such a nice, just like, just sweet honey character. And then the chocolate, the sweeter chocolate comes in, the vanilla comes in, and it all hits at the same time. And that's what I was kind of getting in the nose, and it's just so awesome. It is so awesome. Then as it passes through the palate and finishes, the cinnamon is actually in the back end, and that's mixing in with that habanero pepper. And I'm left with a very slight kick of spice in the back of the throat, ever so slight. I don't think it's going to build because I've already taken 3 or 4 sips. It's not really building at all, but it's definitely in the back of the throat. Just a slight kick of habanero peppers. This is not nearly as boozy as the nose was indicating. I thought this was going to drink like a monster, 11, 12%. This drink's definitely sub 10 to me, like 9, 9.5. This is not approaching 12%. There is a warming into my stomach, into the chest and stomach, but on my palate, no way. The alcohol is not really detectable. I know it's a bigger beer based on the fact that I can taste the barrel, which I didn't even talk about. The barrel just has this omnipresent kind of character to it. It's there throughout the entire palate. The vanilla is getting kind of lost mid-palate with the actual vanilla in here. There's an oak tannin dryness on the back mixing in with the cinnamon and the habanero peppers. There's also like a low to moderate bitterness too on the back of the palate. The back of the palate is very complex, and it kind of slows down and stops the sweetness from being too big, because you get the slight dry finish, slight bitterness, the cinnamon like kind of dryness, and then the habanero peppers, and it's just kind of stopping the beer from finishing cloying or too sweet. I would say this, like I said, has a slightly dry finish to me and has more of a residual sweetness, but it isn't too big. Yeah, this is for all these adjuncts and whatnot, this is really good. God damn. My only knock on it, like I said, is the body. It's definitely like higher side of medium, lower side of full body. And for something for almost 12%, it's definitely thin. Somebody like a good friend of mine and a fellow beer tuber, Paul, over at PA Brew News, I think he would like the flavors on this one, but he would knock it for being too thin. Me, I'm not... I don't really, I shouldn't say I don't care about the body. In a situation like this, I would like to see this thicker, and it is going to stop it from getting a super high score, but it doesn't bother me as much because I feel like when beers aren't like motor oil and super viscous, especially a beer like this, it makes it easier to drink. When beers are super thick like that, I want to sit there and take my time for like an hour and a half and just enjoy every second, because it's such a thick beer. This one, I could probably put down in a half an hour easily and just move on to something else, be all messed up, but I think I could do it. Anyway, really delicious beer. Thank you very much, Derek, for sending my way. So rating on Photon Sphere from the Olde Hickory Brewery, I'm going to go straight 4.5 out of 5. I think it deserves it. It's a damn tasty beer. I think this would be a 4.75 out of 5 for me if that body was just kicked up a notch. It would definitely probably get, I would say it'd get like a low 4.75, like 4.65, 4.7, something like that. But 4.5 out of 5 is nothing to sneeze at. So this is a damn good beer. If you've had this one before, let me know what you think about it. Price and availability, I have no idea. It was given to me by Derek. I'd imagine a price point on this is probably somewhere between, let's say $6 to $8 for a bottle. So if anybody knows the price or availability of this one, let me know. Availability, I have no idea. I'd imagine it gets distribution at the brewery, probably in North Carolina, but outside of that, I have no idea. When it comes to Olde Hickory Brewery, like I said, I know nothing about them other than the Event Horizon and now this beer. And yeah, this is my first beer from Olde Hickory, and I must say they're probably setting me up for disappointment, because if a lot of their beers are as good as this one, yeah, fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on here about nonsense. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review. And until the next one, cheers.